out of it in a very kind of weird, messed up way, but I know I do.
Yeah.
And it is 2:02. So I'm actually going to go ahead and kick us off and get us started with our call because, as always, we tend to have a pretty packed call. And we usually end up butting up right against the hour. So I'm going to get us rolling. And Lucille, it was really nice to meet you as well. And I know you've been at Moffitt now for 3 years, but they seem very lucky to have somebody like yourself who has such a positive and accepting outlook. That's very
Thank
lovely.
you. Thank you.
Yes. All right, now I'm going to put my official hat on and
okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and welcome everybody to our monthly call, our LoProCO call. This should be recorded, so we are good to go there. And just as a little reference point for these calls, as I mentioned, we do record them. So after the call, I will share out the recording, the PowerPoint, the tool that we're going to be reviewing today for how to really craft your marketing plan. And you will also receive the recipes that we are going to share. So glad to have everybody on the line. I'm Chef Jess. Today we are joined by Rainey Wickstrom from the Healthy People Project. She's been working with Nourish Colorado and Live Well Colorado for about 10 years now, helping school districts really think through their marketing efforts. And we've been really just expanding her role out to support all the other players who are involved in farm to school as well. So she's really getting a deep dive into how farmers can really promote and connect the dots with these efforts. We're also joined by Chef Sally Aya. She's been with us since, like 12 years now supporting this work. And what's really cool is that we've made a lot of our videos in the past. We've had Chef Fernando, as the star with them. And now we're really getting out and having our other chefs join us who tend to prefer being maybe a bit more behind the scenes. It's one of those kind of chef traits. We like to be in the kitchen more so than actually talking out. But we're bringing ourselves, improving our skills as always. And we have a lovely, wonderful video session for you all today from Sally. And she'll also be sharing some good tips and tricks as well for the culinary items that she is featuring. So today, what we're talking about is farm to school marketing time. It is back to school time. Now is prime time to start thinking about how you can promote your farm to school efforts. And what I think is really important to note is that we are talking about farm to school. However, if you're a farmer, a producer, a local partner on the ground, just a super engaged community member, there are so many ways that you can promote the farm to school efforts that are happening in your community. And everything that we're going to be talking about today, from all of the slides that Rainey is presenting, reviewing the tool, and even these cool tips and tricks and culinary recipes, these are all things that you can use and repurpose and turn into your own farm to school marketing plan. And as you can tell, it is August, so we are featuring that delicious, wonderful sweet corn season. I don't know if you all have seen this, but at the grocery store, there's like a crowd of people huddled around the corn, shucking it because they're so excited. You kind of have to like elbow your way in to be able to even get a place to get that corn that you want. So sweet corn and those fresh, delicious melons, prime time, they are in season, and we have some great recipes to share with you all. So I am going to turn it over to Rainey to start kicking off our session on marketing. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. And thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Jess. It's really fun to talk about marketing. And I've been, as Jess mentioned, I've been helping food service directors for about the past 10 years find things that are really promotable about their program. And one of the things that's super promotable is farm to school. Everyone wants to hear if you're doing farm to school purchasing, serving. People get excited about it. And a couple of reasons why is because people love to know that farm products are making their way onto the trays of students. People also love to hear about local agriculture and that farmers are producing crops that are impacting the community. And people also love to hear about how kids are responding and interacting with fresh and healthy foods. So some of the benefits of promoting farm to school is that it really supports the entire movement. People learn about it, they know more about it. it also helps to really modernize and update an outdated image of school lunch away from processed foods to more fresh. And let's face it, most people don't really know all the great things that are happening in the lunch program. So farm to school is a great promotable way to let people know what's going on. Ultimately, we want to get more kids eating the food, and by promoting farm to school, you can really build sustainability for the whole program. So we tend to have a lot of food service directors join these calls. I think today we've got some partners, maybe a farmer. And what we want you to know is that it's a collective effort, that we can all work together to do this. It's not just geared only towards one group, but we can combine our efforts. And today you're going to leave, as Jess mentioned, with a tool, simple, easy to use. It's not complicated, to help you start getting the word out. So what is marketing? Marketing can be really pretty straightforward and simple. It's any activity that promotes the positive aspects of a program. And these are two examples. One was in Moffat, where peaches were purchased and given out to kids, and the kids loved them. So we created a simple letter to talk about that, and that was shared with families. And then this other piece was a newspaper was invited to do a story on Pagosa Charter School's Farm to School program. So these are both examples of marketing. Probably took about the same amount of effort to get done. And then marketing at its simplest form is just word of mouth. It's telling people what you're doing. And Krista in Durango always says, if you don't tell people what you're doing, they're not going to know. So you can tell people what you're doing, and that enables you to reach a certain audience, but developing a little bit of a marketing plan, which we're going to do today, helps you really reach much bigger audiences. So we'll talk about how we can do that. So again, if you're a partner or producer, you can also use your communication channels to get the word out as well. Next slide, please. I'm just going to touch on this. We're talking about building kind of an annual simple marketing plan, but there's a way to take this a lot bigger. You can literally build a brand around farm to school, and districts do this. So Well County up in Greeley, they have their own logo. You can see it here. And they've really created an identity. It's part of who they are. It's part of what they do, and it's what they're known for. They belong to a co-op and purchase farm product. They have their own chili roaster, and they make lots of products with those roasted chilies. And so they want to be known for that. And that's a really great thing. Not necessarily required, but if you're moving towards that, just an idea for the future if you want to someday build a brand. Next slide. And so to build a brand, just a couple steps for doing that is to decide on your vision mission. You know, how does it relate to your farm to school goals? You're going to need a logo, either create one or make one or buy one. And then you include that logo and brand in all of your marketing materials. Then you become known. You're doing farm to school. And again, we have many districts in the state who are known for that. It really helps to build and promote community pride. So that's what it looks like to go bigger, not required. And if you want to get more into branding, we'll have a link at the end to help you get more tools, information on that to share with you. But I'm going to turn it over to Chef Sally to hear about sweet corn and melons. I think we're on mute.
Okay, how's that?
Better.
So, hi everybody, nice to see you today. And so let's talk about two of the things that are delicious right now. And I know you're seeing them in the markets, like Jessica mentioned and Rainey mentioned, and you know, Colorado sweet corn, Olathe, right? That's where the maybe not the best, but some of the best corn comes from. And available, ready to go. I think one of my favorite school food projects with corn, and I'll talk about it again later in the video, but what do you do when you get a pallet full of corn and you only have 5 people in the kitchen? For help, Where can you bring in some of your partners? Where can you bring in a class that needs some extra credit, or a teacher that you know has some opportunities to give kids the chance to do something different? Bring them in and have them husk the corn, right? That's the best way. Like, teamwork makes it happen. And sometimes you have to expand your team a little. So don't be shy about that. You know, look around. Don't say no to the fresh corn from the farmer down the street just because you don't have enough staff, right? Find a way to make it happen, because you can. And it's delicious. Oh my gosh. You'll see in the video the sweet corn recipe for the Mexican sweet corn salad. It's really delicious. You can make it at home, you can make it at school, but it's one of those things that you do after you have corn on the cob and you have a bunch of leftover, cut it off the cob and make up a salad for your salad bar, or scoop it from your line, whichever. You can serve it hot or cold. But that's one of the great ideas. And then of course, melons, right? Melons come from the southeast part of our state, and they are delicious this time of year. They're just getting ripe. One of the things that I really appreciate knowing is that melon doesn't ripen after it. So make sure it has that nice fragrance of the sweet melon before you pick it. And when you're out at either the grocery store, the farm stand, or the farmer's market, make sure you smell that, because if you don't smell that nice sweet flavor, it's not ripe. And so it's going to be hard, and you're going to be sad about your melon that's not ready to go. But both of those things, they are going to be on your menus immediately when you head back into school. So start to think about different ways to serve them. We have a couple of recipes for the melon as well, but lots of ideas. You can cut it up and serve it. You can flavor it with some herbs and spices and serve it. You can make smoothies, things like that. So lots of options. And yeah, and so is this our time for videos, Jessica?
That it is. So
Excellent. Okay, enjoy the videos.
let me pull this up and see how things work.
Welcome to the culinary portion of today's presentation. Today we'll talk about corn and we'll talk about melons. They're both in season in Colorado right now, so they're fresh and delicious. We're going to share with you some tips, some tricks, and some recipes for you to use both at home and at work. Let's talk about corn. Corn originated in Mexico, and then it spread throughout all of North America. Christopher Columbus is credited with bringing corn over to Europe. The corn that we have today, this comes from Olathe over in western Colorado. They are famous for their sweet corn. This corn came from Tuxedo Farms, famous for Olathe sweet corn. Did you know that every silk on your corn ear leads to a kernel? Culinary uses for corn? Well, you can eat it straight off the ear, fresh. Some people eat it fresh, off the ear, off the cob. You can also steam it, you can boil it, you can roast it in its skins on your grill outside. It's delicious like that. We also use canned corn, we use frozen corn, and we use cornmeal. A couple different varieties of corn that we're familiar with in Colorado. 4 in particular. We eat sweet corn. You notice this sweet corn is variegated. It's white and yellow kernels. Sometimes it's all white kernels. Sometimes it's all yellow kernels. Second variety of corn, popcorn, right? Who doesn't like popcorn for a snack? It's a different variety than the sweet corn. Third variety of corn is soft corn, tortilla corn. That is used to make cornmeal, used to make masa. It's really soft to grind and easy to grind. Sometimes it's blue in color instead of white or yellow. Last kind of corn that's grown throughout Colorado, dent corn, D-E-N-T. That corn is used for animal feed, grown all over our state. Corn falls into the other vegetable category when you're menu planning and you get 15 cases of nice, fresh, sweet corn from the local farmer. and you think, oh my gosh, how is my staff gonna shuck all this corn and get it ready for lunch tomorrow? You call the football coach and you call the band leader and you say, we have a little friendly competition here, folks. Bring your teams. And in no time flat, your corn will be shucked and you will have corn ready for tomorrow's lunch. So give that a try. Let's talk about melon. Did you know melon is related to squash and cucumbers? You can tell because the insides are similar, right? They have the soft center with the seeds around the middle. Of course, except for watermelon. Melons come in lots of shapes and sizes. We have 3 of them here today. We have cantaloupe, we have honeydew, and we have watermelon, right? All beautiful, all really sweet and delicious. Did you know that melons don't ripen after you remove them from the vine? So once you pick them, that's as sweet as they're gonna get. Our melons are from Rocky Ford down in southeast Colorado, right? That hot, dry temperature really helped them get nice and sweet while they're on the vine. We buy melon in a couple different ways. We buy it fresh, we buy it frozen. When it's fresh, you can slice it, you can dice it, right? You can make those pretty watermelon baskets with the fancy handle and fill the watermelon back in with the pieces of the melon. When we buy it frozen, it's often in small melon balls, right? And that's usually cantaloupe and honeydew. Those are a little bit firmer, so they hold up pretty well under freezing. Sometimes we puree melons and make them into soups, or we make them into smoothies, things like that. Very tasty because they're so sweet. That's melon from Colorado. I hope everybody's getting hungry. I know I am.
Awesome. So that was Chef Sally's opening video for the sweet corn and the melons that we're doing. And we really want you all to see these and start getting some ideas, sprouting some ideas as to different things that you can promote too, and maybe use some of these little tidbits, like those little fun facts and some of that marketing promotional materials that you're looking to craft and create. So we're just trying to kind of pepper ideas out there, and I'll stop with the food references and turn this over to Rainey now.
Hey, thanks, Jess. And that was awesome. I had no idea that all that annoying silk goes back to Colonel. Really fun to know that. I wanted to introduce Lily. She's my office mate, and she's joining us now. So we're going to move into what to promote in terms of marketing, and the sky is absolutely the limit. One of the most simplest things to start with is, how did you get started in farm to school? For example, Durango told us they got started by just purchasing some simple greens, and later it led to a big beef purchase. Or what's your plan for farm to school? Are you just starting here and hoping to end up over here someday? Do you have a recipe you want to share? Do you want to talk about your staff and any kind of anecdotes, experiences that they're having around farm to school? Maybe they're struggling, for example, with getting the dirt out of the lettuce. Those can be fun stories. So a couple other examples of things I've seen partners, our food service directors share. They talk a lot about the specific product they're getting, what it looks like, what it tastes like, a farmer, a specific farmer, and maybe that farmer has a new puppy family member they're adding to their farm, or kitty. And there's just, the sky's the limit in terms of examples of what you can promote. Next slide. So we have some ideas of what we want to promote, but who really needs to hear the news? And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, because sometimes we think we can just write something up and put it out, but we really have to think about, who's actually going to get this information? So for example, some of our audiences are going to be parents, because they're definitely consumers of student lunch. They're the ones making the buying decisions. But then we have kids who are influencing their parents to purchase. Teachers, huge influencers over kids in terms of what they do. We have school board members who are decision makers. We want them to know what's happening in the program so they can feel good about it. Partners, we definitely need the school leadership to know. We need the school staff to know. We need the janitorial team, the custodial team, and the larger community outside of the school. There's lots of different audiences. So one thing you'll want to consider is, which audiences do you most want to reach? And partners, you have audiences as well. So who are your audiences that you want to share good news with about farm to school? We want everyone to know, but if we have limited time and effort, we might really want to be specific in who we're targeting. Next slide is about communication channels. And we don't really think about this, but there are different ways that people get information. And a typical way is if, let's say you go to an event and you learn about things while you're at the event, or maybe you're scrolling through your phone at the grocery store while you're standing in line, you're getting information through social media. Maybe the school website is where all parents come to download the menus. So that's the main channel. Or maybe weekly, there's a newsletter that goes out to kids and to parents, and that's the main newsletter. There's a lot of potential, but when thinking about your marketing plan, you want to think about what are a couple of my key communication channels that I can assume the majority of people are going to come to and look at, the people that I want to reach. And if you're partners, you have your own communication channels. If you're farmers, you definitely have your own communication channels. Maybe you have your own Facebook or website. And one thing I always hear is that everyone wants more pictures, by the way, of farmers and farm product and farmers getting that farm product, delivering it. So that's a fun bit of good news, but we want to get all that information into these channels too. So how do you communicate with your audiences? The more channels you use, obviously, the wider the reach. Now, in the food business, there's a lot of information that needs to be shared because food is highly regulated. So we tend to find a lot of very procedural information on websites related to school food or food because you have to. There's lots of things you have to share, you're required to share. And so one tip that I want to bring to you is you have all this procedural information to share, but anywhere you can, try to balance the scales and add some positive promotional information as well. So for example, if you're a food hub, a procedural component might be your delivery times and what's available to purchase. Promotional might be more like we've started selling to schools and they're going to be receiving delicious apples of 2 different colors from Johnson Farms. If you're a food service director, you might talk about, hey, meals are all free this year. But if you want to be promotional, you might say, but we're going to use this time and this opportunity to invest more in local produce to grow our program while we're able. Our first step is to identify farmers and so on and so on. So these are some examples of how you can tip the scales to make sure that your procedural information is, that your promotional information is balancing that out whenever you possibly can, because we don't have big budgets to go develop marketing plans, but just make sure that your website looks like you've got promotional information on there. And here's a really good example from Durango. And next slide, Jess. So they have a lot of information about food and making sure you get your school meal applications filled out and some of the discrimination statements and those sorts of things, anti-discrimination statements. But they also have a letter that they've written that's full of good news. And they've posted it on their website. They talk about their farmers as partners, their salad bars, the fact that they do local purchasing of meat. They talk about their local partners. They talk about students as partners. So really nice information, again, that provides this balance of promotional to sort of the more process and procedural. So what does your website contain? Do you have an opportunity to add some more of these kinds of things? And by the end of our call today, you'll have a tool that you can upload and do just what Durango did. And if you're a partner or agency, is there an opportunity for you to share good news about your local farm to school efforts too, whether it's through the channels that you have, newsletters, social media posts, etc. Next slide. All right, so one of the areas I'm weak is I'm really weak in technology. And I have a secret weapon, which is my college age students, kids. And so they can help me. And if I need to get the word out on something, I can ask them, hey, how do I do this? Because we don't have big marketing departments, we sometimes need to rely on other people. So who do you have in your department or outside your department or in your school district or in your agency or organization that can help you get the word out? Is it an intern, secretary, colleague, tech person, communications team member? this is somebody you want to get connected to and ask them to support you. There's a myriad of possibilities. Could be a wellness team, a parent, a volunteer, a high school student. So if there's some place that's holding you back from moving forward, there are people that can help you. I'm going to turn it back to Chef now so we can get to those yummy recipes for corn and watermelon.
Awesome. Thank you, Rainey. So I'm going to share Chef Sally's video, and you're going to get a little knife skills lesson in here as well. So you'll get some cool tips and tricks and see these recipes come together.
For both of our recipes today, we're going to focus on safe knife handling skills. To safely remove the kernels off the cob, we're going to peel the husk off the cob, then we stand it up on the wide end, we get a good handle on the top, and we move the knife down the ear in order to cut the kernels off. Let me show you. Both of our recipes today call for lime juice. I always recommend fresh. It tastes delicious. In order to get your lime ready, give it a little roll to soften it up. And when it calls for lime juice, you get free zest. I say use that zest. Don't just throw it away. Before you cut your lime, zest it, save that zest, either put it in today's recipe or freeze it and put it in a different recipe. Microplane is a great way to get the zest. You might have a flat grater, use the small holes for that, or you can use your box grater and use the smallest holes for that as well. But don't waste that zest. I cut my lime in half and juice it. How do I get the juice out? Well, I have this fancy juicer, right? This is one way to get the juice out. And then, whew, there's another very nice measuring device where I can juice it, and I can measure the amount of juice that I need for my recipe. Third way, if you don't have any fancy devices, the good old fork is a perfect way. Squeeze the lime, work the fork around, get the juice out. Okay, so zest and juice for my recipe. Today, Mexican street corn salad. It's a yummy twist on those messy ears that you get on the streets in Tijuana. So of course we have our beautiful Olathe sweet corn that we just cut off the cob. We have cotija cheese or feta cheese. You can take your pick. We have scallions, jalapeno, cilantro. Cilantro, if you have a school garden, maybe you'll get it from there. We also have mayonnaise, we have our fresh lime juice with the lime zest, we have crushed red pepper, and we have garlic. And we have a little oil for our pan. To safely prepare our melon today, we're going to have to make some flat surfaces in order to keep it from rolling around on our cutting board. Once we have flat surfaces, then we'll stand it up and we'll just follow the shape of the melon around with our knife in order to remove the remainder of the rind. Then we'll cut it into the appropriate size for your audience and make our salad. Let me show you. To make our melon salad, it's super fast and easy. 3 ingredients. Our cut melon, some nice fresh cilantro, again, check your school garden, and then that fresh lime juice with the lime zest. Easy as pie, especially if your mise en place is done ahead of time. Mix it, chill it for a little bit. Let the flavors mingle. Chill it for at least an hour and enjoy it.
Nice. That was our culinary video, and I'm going to turn it over to Chef Sally to give us a few more culinary tips and tricks for that sweet corn and delicious melon.
Corn salad. Oh my gosh, delicious. So one of the things, did you notice that the pan had a nice brown? So caramelize your corn. Let it turn brown. It does jump a little in the pan, so be careful, but get some nice color on it. It really brings out the sweetness. And then for the melon salad, boy, oh boy, you could use, besides the cilantro, you could use basil, you could use oregano, you could use whatever fresh herbs you can get your hands on. You could use something like arugula cut up in small pieces. You could use, boy, I have mustard greens in my garden. Cut those up real fine into ribbons like the basil and pop them into the melon salad. You could do whatever you have. It's delicious. But there's lots of options and there's lots of versatility with both of these things. So, and again, the corn salad can be served hot or cold. So it can be on the hot line, or it could be in the salad bar, or whatever's the easiest for you as you go back into your schools. So hopefully you will enjoy them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sally. And I will also say that we have been in some schools who have gotten a bunch of fresh corn, and we've actually saved all of those cobs, put that into a stock pot, filled it with water, brought it to a boil, and you get a really delicious corn stock from that too, that then you can then add to maybe a corn soup or a potato soup or whatever type of a soup that you're really looking to make and have over the winter and really get that rich corn flavor. So keep those in mind. Those recipes are delicious. We'll have one more video that shows you how they look when they are all done. And what we're going to move in now is this marketing tool that we keep teasing you all with. So on the screen, you can see just a quick little screenshot of how this tool looks. This was something that was developed by Rainey, and she has used it as she coaches food service directors through the process of thinking through what they can promote and helping them craft their marketing plan. So everything that she just went through on the slides is here. What is that good news? What are those highlights? That's the promotional stuff. The need to know is the procedural item. So how do you include all of this in and then effectively put it together and you have a letter. You have your letter that you can send out and post on your website, post on social media, send through the news, the newsletters that might already be out there. It's really all here. And we also go through, again, everything that was presented on those slides. So who do you need to share this information with? What are the communication channels? Who else can help you? And then as we go through this tool, we will show you the couple other parts that we include in this for you to really start spurring some ideas, especially because it is easy to get too in the weeds sometimes and have a hard time really thinking about what you can promote. And again, as Rainey has mentioned, and as we will mention, the small things are worth promoting just as much as the big things. And even if you don't have a farm to school program yet, but you're thinking about it, that's worth promoting as well, because this is how you build that momentum and really find out who else is interested and who can help you. So the way this is going to work is Rainey and I are going to do a little role-playing session where I'm going to pretend to be a food service director, and then Rainey's going to be my coach, and she's going to walk me through this marketing tool, and then we'll show you what I was able to create and to also really show you just how quick this process can be, because I'll be the first to admit that I tend to sometimes overcomplicate things and make it seem to be bigger than it needs to be, which almost creates these roadblocks. So being able to really see that, stop overcomplicating it, make it simple, you can create the plan, and you're going to see what we're able to create in really like less than 5 minutes. So Rainey, take it away and let's do our role play.
Yeah, Jess. So let's start off by having you just tell me a little bit about yourself, about your school district and who you serve and what you're serving.
Yeah, so I work for a relatively small school district. We're out on the Eastern Plains, about like central Colorado type of area, Eastern Central. Have about 2,500 kids who come to my school, and I'd say we feed about 80% of them. I feel like we're doing a pretty good job out here in my little rural school district.
Awesome. And what are some things that you'd like the community to know about your program? What's some good news that you would like to share with them?
Well, we have actually, and I'm going to fill this out as we go. So I'm trying to like multitask here so I can get my letter in place. We've actually gotten approval from our health department to do our salad bars and run them. And we have some we have a COVID safe plan in place that was approved. So we're rolling forward with it, and we're going to do our salad bar because I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit tired of bagging items. It's taken way too much time for me and my team of 4 to do this. So that's super exciting. They are back.
Wonderful. What other good news do you have to share around your farm to school?
Oh, so yeah, with farm to school. So in the past, like I've done a few purchases here and there, like the kids really like those peaches when we brought them in as well. But this year we're going to be focusing on bringing in some apples. There's a local grower about 45 minutes away from me who's going to be able to provide these apples. And we're going to do some potatoes. And there's actually a couple events that we're doing. So local for the apples and the potatoes. And we're choosing to participate in Colorado Proud Day. So that is, I think it's like the 21st of September. So we're going to do that day. And we're going to feature our potatoes and really highlight those and show those off. And that's open to the community, actually. So I need to get that word out. And then there's another event called the Mountain Plains Crunch Off that's in October. And we are going to participate in that as well and use our apples as that locally grown crunchable produce and participate in that event.
That's fantastic. So we've got some really good things here to promote. Now let's move down to sort of what are the things you need your families to know as well? More the procedural types of things or processes?
Well, I mean, with it being back to school time, there's a lot that families really need to know. I'd say biggest right now is that all meals are free. That's amazing. However, what's happening is because all the meals are free, there's a disconnect in the community, and they're really struggling with why they have to fill out those free and reduced meal application forms. The meals are free. Why do I need to do this? And so I've been doing a little bit of digging, and I have found what's called a more than a meal type of flyer that really starts to clearly communicate that these applications don't only support the school meal program, they support things like discounted fees for college applications or SAT tests, or maybe discounted fees for sports or technology. So I really want to get the word out that we need these applications filled out to support the entire school, and we need them done by October. So that's a big one for us.
That is a big one. That is a big one. Excellent. That's great too, that you're focusing on the bigger purposes of the meal program to build some understanding around that. I mean, of the meal applications. Is there anything else that they need to know that's essential for going back to school?
I mean, it's like bring on the crazy, right? So we're actually doing breakfast in the classroom now for our middle school and high school. It's breakfast after the bell. It's not officially in the classroom, but yeah, so we're doing a breakfast after the bell, which is a really big deal for our middle school and high school students because participation has just been really low when we have breakfast only offered before the school day starts. So got with our principals, they're on board, and we're doing these little Happy Acres breakfast breaks where the kids are going to be coming in and they're going to have about 20 minutes to grab their meal and enjoy that. probably around like 9:30 or so, more so than those early morning breakfast days. So looking forward to that. And we need to let our parents know as well.
Excellent. So I've noticed you've already completed your draft letter, which is great. And we're going to be sharing this tool to everyone, just so you know. But Jess, now that you know kind of what you're sharing, tell us who needs to know this. Like, who are your primary audiences? Can you pick a couple?
My primary audience it's everybody, but I'm going to choose, parents and students are number
Okay.
one right now.
Great.
Since these events that I'd like to do are open to the community, I do want to really spread the word and get that out, but that might be, I'm going to say secondaries. I'm going to highlight that as blue. So like yellow's priority. And then as I go, I'll look to the other people.
That's a great plan. So now that we know parents and students are your top priority, which of these communication channels that you have available in your district are best to reach students and parents?
Yeah, so
Biggest.
we have a good webpage and we have a newsletter that's pretty well read and well received. So I think those would be my primary. And we already use our high school students to do announcements for just general announcements, but even the meal as well. So I will really make sure to tap them and give them some language for these locally focused events that we're doing too.
Excellent. So your webpage, because that's where people go to find the menus, and then the school newsletter, which goes out to everyone, and then announcements, which will reach the students. That sounds great. And if you have time, you can do more with those,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, but
Maybe
that's
Facebook.
That's perfect. Okay, excellent. And then who do you picture as someone who might be able to help you? Do you have a staff member, a team member, a parent, a volunteer, a communications person? Who in your school might be available to help you, say, put things in the e-newsletter, post it on Facebook, do a story in your local newspaper about your upcoming event?
Yeah, so I would say, I will admit I'm a bit of a control freak. So I'm going to take care of some of this myself. However, we have a relatively active health and wellness team, and there's a couple new parents on there who they have great ideas, potentially some ideas that might not work for a school food environment. However, I don't want to lose that like excitement and that engagement. So I think I can give them a project and actually have them help me with this.
Sounds
and
great.
Maybe even like do a press release or something and get into the local newspaper. I've never done that before, and I think I could have them help me with that.
That sounds great. And Jess, in a lot of these communities, the local newspaper or TV stations want to do stories of good news. So if you call them up with good news and say, we're going to have a Colorado Proud Day event, very often you don't even have to write a press release. They'll just show up and do the story and take pictures, and next thing everybody knows. So that's a fun
That'd
thing.
be amazing.
They're looking for good news. Excellent. So great. So what you want to promote, who you need to help, the audiences you want to reach. I think we got it. Let's go ahead and take a look at your plan, Jess.
Okay, so looking at my plan, let me close you.
Okay.
All right, so here's what I put together. So after we chatted, I sat down, took like an additional 10 more minutes and really thought through what my action steps would be, because you've been very good about telling me that it's not actually marketing until I get the word out. So here's my plan. I'm going to get my letter, and I'm going to send that out to the newsletter. I'm going to post it on Facebook as well. It seems pretty easy. My school administrative assistant has offered to help me already. We'll be promoting the Colorado Proud event, and I'll be, again, putting that letter on the website. So I'm using it in like 3 different ways, which is really nice. Yeah, I'm going to try to use that health and wellness team, get some more farmers in place. And the students are going to make me some posters as well. I'm putting those kids to work.
That's great.
So that's my marketing plan. And you want to see my letter?
I sure do.
Here it is. So this is super easy. It really wasn't that hard. Like after we had our call, I just kind of cleaned it up, made it look a little pretty, added our school logo at the top, and yeah, I'm ready to post this and start sharing it out.
That's fantastic. And if you're a farmer or partner you can take the information that the district's sharing it and repurpose it and share it also. So there's lots of ways that we can work together and keep sharing the same information so nobody has to recreate it. But this looks great. You've got your highlights, your good news, and then your need to know. And you can always just drop in more new information and update it monthly, quarterly, yearly, however you want to do it. Jess, good job. That looks awesome. So my PowerPoint got stuck. So here we are. I hope this has been helpful to you in terms of thinking about, what you have, what some of your good news might be, and how you can share it and get the most bang for your efforts. Here's a few last tips for you. Is just like I said, refresh that content. No point in recreating new content every time. Just refresh it. Some of you are looking for ways to explain why Farm to School is really valuable to a community, and the CDE has a fact sheet, and you can find more information on their PDF fact sheet. We also have tips on the lunchbox for creating your brand. And then finally, it's never too early. The CDE has an opportunity for you to tell your Farm to School story right now, today. You can go on this link, tell your story, and there's an opportunity for you to market your program right in front of you. And I have got stuck on my slide, so I'm going to turn it back to Sally now to wrap us up with the culinary demo and the closing. And I just want to.
So here we have it.
That went way so fast.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you, Rainey, very much. Here is our closing video of these delicious finished dishes that I got to enjoy and was quite pleased with as well, and looking forward for you all to see them and try them too.
So here we have it. Some fresh, delicious, locally produced melon and corn salads. How could you mix these up and enjoy them a little differently? Well, first off, the corn salad, think about serving this not only on your salad bar, but maybe in fajitas or maybe along with burritos. You have some options with that. Melon salad, think about which melon do you have available. Maybe you have cantaloupe, maybe you want to use basil instead of cilantro. Maybe you want to use a little grapefruit juice instead of lime juice. Yummy. For the corn salad, maybe a Mediterranean twist. Swap out that cilantro for some basil. Use lemon juice instead of lime juice. Change the cheese up. Maybe use a little Parmesan or maybe use a little mini mozzarella. But great ways to take your base recipes and turn them into something new and delicious. I hope you try these at home. Happy eating.
Nice. And as always, the puppies like to make little guest appearances as well. Can't really control them. So as we're coming to the end of our call, and you all are thinking about marketing, what can you really promote, and what's coming up? There's a lot coming up. So first, Colorado Proud School Meal Day. This is a pretty big deal in our state, and this is an excellent opportunity to really promote Colorado grown, raised, and processed items. So again, we talk about fresh produce a lot, but there's a lot of really good products out there, like sunflower oil that's easy to use, easy to bring into your program, and doesn't require any additional cutting. That is worth really promoting too. So again, after this call, we'll be sharing all of this out so that you can sign up for the Colorado Proud Meal Day and share what you're going to be doing. Again, small things all the way to big things are worth promoting. October is Farm to School month. So all month long, you have some opportunities. Maybe just choose one day and do something specific to Farm to School and to support it. It doesn't even have to be food related. It could just be education related, and have your teachers potentially, maybe you have a very active Future Farmers of America teacher or a family and consumer science teacher, and they can do a little lesson around agriculture and local foods in Colorado. So again, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So know those resources. Something else, we talked about this Mountain Plains Crunch Off event. So this is for the Mountain Plains region. It's how USDA, basically Food and Nutrition Services, delineates out the different regions of the USA, almost said of Colorado. And so we're in Mountain Plains. It's like with North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, all of that. Nebraska keeps winning this title. So I would love to see Colorado take the lead. It used to only be apples, but now it is any crunchable produce. So apples, pears, cucumbers, carrots, potatoes. I mean, it's really any local product. They just really want to keep elevating and supporting our school efforts to put some of their purchasing dollars into our local and regional food systems. Something else that I really wanted to note that just came across my radar is this paid promotional opportunity. Paid, that's amazing, right? And this is a way to do kind of a double dipping where you get to start crafting your marketing story and potentially using that story in a lot of the marketing plans that you're creating. This is through a group called Best Served. They're very hospitality focused and work focused on promoting the workers, those who are working in these kitchens, whether it's restaurant all the way to school food or institutional food service, and the good that they are doing. So their goal is to basically pay people $86 for 86 articles, and then to post those 86 articles in 86 days. That's why it's the 86, 86, 86. 86 is a culinary term. Whenever you're in a kitchen, you might hear 86 corn, and that means we're out of corn. Fun little fact about that, 8 by 6, it's dead. So that's like the size of a grave that they, dig. So that's where the whole term 86 came from. You hear that quite frequently in food service. Couple other things that are coming in September. Our LoProCO calls are continuing. So the June call was canceled. My power went out. I didn't want to take the risk of trying to do it via my phone. So it's being rescheduled for September 7th. And this one is really all about sprouting these conversations. So as Rainey has mentioned, marketing can be as simple as word of mouth. And I will be the first to admit, believe it or not, I don't really like talking about myself or the good that I'm doing to others. I am more of a, kind of behind the scenes type of person. So I really like some tips and tricks for how I can sprout these conversations. And maybe instead of only saying, when someone asks me how I'm doing, that I'm doing good, and just leave it at that, I actually say, I'm doing good because now I'm bringing in these apples from the farm down the street for my kids, and I'm excited. Very simple ways to promote and build and maintain this farm to school movement, because it takes every single one of us to really keep this work going. And then September 28th, we're going to be joined by Andrea Alma. She's the USDA Food and Nutrition Services Mountain Plains Regional Farm to School Coordinator, like as many titles as possible. But she's amazing. She used to work for Minneapolis Public Schools and helped build their whole farm to school program. So she's coming in and she's going to really share how USDA supports farm to school. And this call is great because it's right around the time when the next farm to school grant is coming up. So she's going to give us some tips and tricks for that application. And we'd love to see another strong showing from Colorado. So that's all that we have for you all today. We actually ended on time, a few minutes early. So we have time for a change for questions, any final ideas. And as always, you're welcome to reach out to myself if you have any questions. If you want to get in contact with Rainey, I'm happy to share her information as well, and any of the chefs on our team. All recipes are coming your way. PowerPoint, the tool, lots of resources. And I'm even going to throw in these more than a meal application flyers that I've seen, because those are great. And yes, Lois, the videos will be shared. The culinary videos, I'm kind of linking them into the PowerPoints right now, but my plan is to actually create a separate channel on YouTube just for the videos. That is a little TBD because I need a clone to be able to help with everything that needs to get done, but you will get the recording of this call and those videos for now, with the plan to get them separate and pulled out and onto YouTube. So I'll stop sharing. Thank you all so much. And we'll see if you have any questions, any last tidbits, and otherwise we're done. We ended on time. That's fantastic. Thank you all so much. Bye. It was good to see you all. Thank you. Awesome. All the links coming your way. All right. And if we have no final questions or thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and end and give us 3 minutes back before the next things that we have to take care of. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.